You hear the screeching of an owl, you hear the wind begin to howl. You know there's zombies on the prowl. And it's terror time again. They've got you running through.
This is Scooby-Doo Zombie Island, arguably the best Scooby-Doo movie ever made. And today, I want to take a dive into why this movie was so popular and wasn't as good as I remember. Part 1. The movie starts out with the gang finishing up one of their classic adventures, unmasking another phony in a costume with a twist. This is their last mystery. The gang is broken up and moved on to their separate paths. The movie makes it clear in the very beginning their separation was caused by the repetitiveness of the ghouls and ghosts always being somebody in a mask. So, this isn't meant to be just another movie in the franchise, but a complete mystery gang revamp, with the previous movie, Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood, being 20 years old at that point. Daphne and Fred have their own popular television show, Coast to Coast with Daphne Blake, which sets up the premise of the movie. The new season of Daphne's show will be about real haunted locations and real monsters, already foreshadowing what's about to happen. We learn that Scooby and Shaggy have jobs at the airport as customs officers, checking for food contraband and luggage, a perfect job for the always hungry pair, and Velma owns her own mystery bookstore, but fawns over the glory days of frightful mansions and monsters. As the gang reunites for Daphne's birthday, Fred, being Daphne's show producer, asks the gang to join them for the new season of Daphne's show, The Haunts of Louisiana, which shows the gang going from haunted mansions to scary swamps once again, hunting for real ghosts. But after a few haunted locations, things started to get a little stale, and the gang is anxious to find something real. That's when we're introduced to Lena Dupree, the woman who would set our mystery gang to their first real haunted house on Moonscar Island. She explains the backstory of the island, saying a pirate named Morgan Moonscar died on that island, and his spirit still haunts the place, tempting them to take a look. We then meet our next character, Jot, the ferryman, who acts like the harbinger, trying to scare the gang from going. And we get our first clue into the mystery when Ms. Lena sees Scooby for the first time, and she gets nervous about the gang bringing a dog to the island. While on the ferry to the island, a funny background character makes his first appearance, Snakebite, a fisherman on the hunt for Big Mona, a catfish the size of Scooby. As the gang arrives to the island, we're met with Miss Lenoir, the owner of the island, going back generations as a pepper plantation farmer. A seemingly useless fact for now, and we're introduced to Bo, the new groundskeeper. Let me just point out that at 20 minutes into the movie, they have introduced all the main and background characters and set up the premise in a most wonderful way. This is something that I think makes this movie stand out from the other Scooby-Doo movies. They didn't waste time with character or plot development, they just dove straight in and made it all seamless. Part 2. As the gang is invited into Miss Lenoir's house, we get our first sighting of the supernatural. Get Out is seemingly carved onto the wall in front of Scooby and Shaggy after they feel a cold chill in the air. And when the rest of the gang goes to look at it, another cold breeze is felt as the words "Beware" are carved into the wall in front of everyone. When reading the words, Velma starts to levitate, scaring the gang into the other room. And while re-watching Fred's tape of the event, we see a ghost appear on tape, carving out the words. Miss Lenoir states it's Morgan Moonscar himself. Upon further investigation of the carved words, Velma discovers that part of Moonscar's ship had been used in the making of the house, and that Moonscar was on the island to bury his treasure, making Fred immediately point out that this is starting to seem like the regular phony haunted house stuff they have seen 1,000 times. In the next scene, Scoob and Shag fall into a pit while hunting for peppers and being chased by Snakebite and his boar. We see the reincarnation of Moonscar appear in front of the duo from a hand buried in the ground. Moonscar starts to walk towards them, scaring the duo to run in front, but when the duo run into Bo, the groundskeeper, Moonscar has disappeared, leading the gang to become immediately suspicious about Bo and what he was doing there. But even with the suspicion around the house's story and the owners, the gang agree to spend the night at the house because the ferry boat doesn't run at night. As Scoob and Shag get ready for dinner, another ghost appears to them from a mirror, leading the gang to find a label on the back of the mirror from a Civil War colonel that leads them to another clue. During dinner, Scooby's constant harassment of Miss Lenoir's cats gets our duo kicked out from dinner, forcing them to eat in the mystery machine. And as they're eating, the rest of the gang discusses what's going on the island. Scooby and Shaggy once again run into a group of zombie Civil War soldiers, and a whole lot of them, which makes them run into Bo again, but they quickly take off. Scooby and Shaggy's screams made the team go looking for them, even Bo tags along. Daphne and Fred run into a zombie themselves, and try to reveal the face behind the zombie mask, but when the head pops off the body and winds kick up, another green mist appears from the sky, reincarnating another group of zombies. This time, the zombies were wearing touristy clothes, and this kicks off one of the best parts of this movie, Terror Time, a song that absolutely made this movie instantly iconic. At this time, I'd like to point a few things out. The whole time, Scooby and Shaggy are being set up to look like they're lying about the events occurring, because for the most part, they are the only ones who have actually seen anything paranormal. Also, Fred being attracted to Daphne is a regular trope on this TV show, but in this movie, he looks to be attracted to Miss Lena, while Daphne is interested in Bo, the groundskeeper, breaking the regular stereotype. And speaking of Bo, the writers are doing an excellent job of painting him to be a suspect. Then, when Fred is trying to unmask the zombie, he goes through the regular suspects. It's the ferryman, the groundskeeper, and so on. And that to Velma floating in the kitchen, and them seeing a ghost on tape, we the viewer are starting to really believe that there may be something supernatural on the island. Part 3. After the genuinely scary zombie chase, our comedic duo uncovers a cave with voodoo dolls that seem to control the rest of the gang. And as they are pushed out of the cave by bats, they run into another group of zombies that seem relatively harmless. As the group were being chased, Miss Lenoir was supposedly kidnapped, making Velma incredibly suspicious. But they go and search for her regardless, and find a ritual room. Velma, instantly on top of it, calls out Miss Lenoir on her phony kidnapping story, but it's too late. The gang and Bo are subdued by Miss Lenoir and Miss Lena using the aforementioned voodoo dolls. Then, Miss Lenoir shows her true colors. Her and Miss Lena are immortal cat creatures, and as Scooby and Shaggy try to help, they run into Jock, the ferryman, who is also a cat creature. Miss Lenoir explains that Moonscar was the reason for all of this. His crew pillaged and drove the original settlers off the bayou, slaughtering them. But Miss Lenoir and Miss Lena escaped and prayed to their cat gods for revenge, but they were given a curse. They need to feed every few years on the harvest moon. Turns out, the zombies on the island were actually trying to help and warn the gang about the cat creatures. Then, right on cue, we see Jock being attacked by the zombies right before he could capture our favorite duo. As our duo runs for it, that accidentally helped the rest of the gang escape. And the zombies jump in for backup as our gang tries to buy time. Miss Lenoir, Miss Lena, and Jacques run out of time when the harvest moon is up, and them and the zombies disappear into smoke. We then see Morgan Moonscar thank the gang. The gang seems bummed that without video no one will believe them, but as a final twist, we find out Bo is a detective who has been on the island digging up clues on all the disappearances. Then, our team begins to leave the island after solving their first real mystery. And honestly, it's a bit of a fast ending. Yeah, the mystery was solved and everyone goes home happy, but we didn't get the whole Velma going over the clues bit or a wrap up to the island and the ghost. It's all kinda just left open, maybe for a sequel. This movie is in the first in what's considered the Mook era, which includes Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost, Scooby-Doo and the Alien Invaders, and Scooby-Doo Cyber Chase, all airing between 1998 and 2001. This movie is what got me and many others back into Scooby-Doo, showcasing a fantastic art style and a gripping story that wasn't just another rehashing, but a full-blown do-over. I want to do a video essay on the other three simply because it was fun going back and rewatching this movie with my daughter, who also loves Scooby-Doo. So until next time folks, hope you enjoyed the memories.